So have you wondered on how you are going to have dominion on this God-blessed earth? It is by service. Service is a component of God that He has put in us. So that ability to serve another group of human beings that are not your children, that are not from you, that don't stand directly under your name, that interest in another man is a God-given ability. It is not present in all other animals. And so as we get on in life, you must cultivate the habit of thinking, how do I bring service to what I am doing? Because that's the only way to have dominion. That's the only way to be anything else but in your own small cocoon. I like to think about service as opposed to commodity. So when you say this is a commodity, okay, I'm holding an electronic pencil, right? You can go to the store, you can pick up this pencil, and then you can be on your way. It's possible that while you are picking up this pencil, that the people who are selling it are not very nice to you. But when you leave, you can remember that in person and you can be, oh, what kind of silly people. But it will be forgotten. Why? Because you have what you paid for. And what you can do next time is, if you know somebody else that sells the same thing, you don't have to go back to the place where they gave you poor service. And so service is that thing above a commodity. It is that next step which is difficult to commoditize. The moment it can be commoditized, it's no longer service. And so what we in the service industry do is that we do trainings, right? And the aim is so that we can reproduce the same kind of service everywhere you go. So that you don't come to our facility one day and have a good service and tomorrow you come and have a terrible service. So what do? We make everyone go through trainings. But the people who will excel, there are still people who come in and they dominate. There are people that come in and they practically take over. They become managers in no time. They have guests asking for them in no time. These are people who understand this concept of service. They put just something over the very available service, because regardless of who you meet, you are going to get our basic services. You are going to enjoy the services so long as you are paying, right? You are going to get to enjoy the services. But there are people who come in with an essence of themselves. And I'm telling you that in life, dominating is dependent on that component, that service component, because whatever you make can be reproduced. That's why when people produce things, right, they go and patent it. But then after you patent it, you can't patent things forever, especially for most necessary products. What happens is that after a while, your patent, the number of years for which you have patent, it will run out and people will produce it for half the price. So if what you are doing was a commodity, if what you produced was just something that can be used in such a way, it's only a matter of time. Someone else is going to make that product. You will be easily forgotten. The reason why there are products that outlast generations, that keep everybody thinking and remembering the maker, is that there has been a component of themselves that has gone into that item to raise it above a commodity. The Apple products we use is something that has been raised above a commodity. Somebody sat down and obsessed about another human being and how to bring of himself to that human being's use. A lot of the things we do now by ways of production is just, we rattle for market share. I heard something and it blessed me. Only a good product, the best marketing tool, the best marketing tool is a good product. Some of you might not know, I started my career in marketing and I took a shine to it because it availed me the opportunity to hear people and understand people's pains. Service is being able to obsess about another person's pains and position yourself in a way that you meet that need. And my time in marketing, I got to find out that what people were looking for are little things. The things that people actually need are small things that you can easily provide. The only problem is that we don't think about another human being enough to serve. And so once I got to understand that this was what people needed, I found myself making relationships. I found myself meeting those needs myself, even sometimes without giving them the product for which I came to sell. And so I can be in a frontline work and I can notice somebody who just needs somebody to talk to. Sometimes people just need to know that there are still respectful people around, regardless of the fact that they are the ones in need. That people still, are culturally respectful. And so sometimes I notice that that is just what someone needs. And how cheap is it to meet such a need? Sometimes I notice that what people need is just, somebody that can treat them special. That's a commodity in lack. And at that point, because I'm already positioned to serve, it's easy. Trust me, service is one of the easiest things. The hard part of service is understanding what do people need. What is it people want? And there are areas where I still struggle. There are areas where I still haven't figured it out. That's the hard part of service. Because when you eventually figure out what people want, it's so easy. It's almost cheap. One thing I want to emphasize today is that service is generous. You cannot serve if you are not generous. Service is the guy who decides that in as much as this is what you are paying for this, I'm going to go out of my way and give you something in addition. That's what service is. Because most times people are entitled to what you give them. I mean, they should not be, but people are sometimes generally feel entitled. Like if I'm coming and I'm paying you for a particular service, I expect that service to be done. Now, in the context of service, which we are talking about, it's for you to start thinking, what can I add on this? What can I add on this relationship? It's possible that you and I are friends and we call each other every so often. Service, if I decide to serve you, it's for me to start thinking, how can I make life easier for this person? What can I do to make life better for this person? And then you start thinking. So service is generous in that it begins to think about the other person with an end to meet that particular need. If you are not generous, you can't serve. That's the one that you can take for free. And so thinking about this, I remember that even these videos I started making, I remember starting it because I felt impressed upon my heart that I needed to start showing up for people. I needed to start showing people what exactly I felt I needed to hear, right? And then I started doing this, and after a while, you know what happened? It became a personal assignment. It became like a goal. Show up once a week. How hard can that be? And so what happened is that I started showing up. But in showing up, I started showing up for myself. I started showing up to tick a mental checklist of something that I needed to do, of something that it was time to do. Along the line, I forgot about that young girl. That young 26-year-old girl for which I started. That young girl who needed someone to light her path. Who needed someone to just, share on how it's done. Who just wanted to know that it can even be done. I remember when I was very young, my mom would be grinding in the kitchen, right? And there will be no light. Some of those days, there will be no light. And my mom would be like, come and hold this light for me. Hold this light for me so that I can see what I'm doing. Either she's cutting vegetables and she's saying, hold this light for me so I can see what I was doing. Those days, it was not phone touch light. It was lamp or sometimes candle light. But she just needed it held so that she could see what she was doing. What would happen is that in doing that, I would get tired. A point would come, I'll get tired. And then I will look for a way to angle my hand so that it's not a stress on me. And after a while, she wouldn't be seeing what she was doing, and she would tell me, Are you holding that light for yourself or for me? I remember that question now. When, as I do what I do, I want to ask myself, are you doing this for yourself or for that young lady? Who are you serving? Are you serving yourself or are you serving that young lady? You need strength to serve. You need spiritual alignment to serve. You need to recall to memory often who you are serving. Because what we do after a while is that we want to serve in a way that is convenient for us. Service is generous, but service is also sacrificial. Service obsesses and puts to mind and forefront the person who you are serving. Listen, ladies, this is how to have dominion. Because what happens after a long while of serving is that the person you serve becomes dependent on you. The person you serve cannot afford then to lose you. And after a while, you will be so needed in the life of the person you serve that they will be willing to exchange anything to keep you in that position of service. Do you see how it comes around? So even if your aim was selfish, and personally, I do not consider having dominion a selfish vision. I believe that we are created here to just take dominion of every sphere we find ourselves in. And so if you are going to take dominion in any sphere, you better start racking your brain on, what do my customers need? These people that I have been called to serve, what are they looking for? So when people are talking about unique selling proposition, what differentiates me from my competition, the real question is, in what way can I serve better? What can I add to the top? People try to manipulate people with discounts and lower prices, but the reason why all of those things are available, we are trying to make it cheaper for people, is because we haven't figured out, how do I put this unique gift on this thing that everybody says, I want that unique gift. And trust me, the moment you start adding things, people are going to copy it, right? People are going to repeat what you are doing. And so it is on you to keep thinking. That is what innovation is about. To keep making it easier. It is those who serve that will take dominion. And I know this concept I have in my head of service, there are various names people call it, right? Except God then refers to it, I think, as a gift. Being the one who comes with a gift. But you know that it can only be called a gift when it is something that the person you are giving needs. So that's why I don't go with gift, because this particular thing called service, you're not serving me if you are giving me something that you need. My husband cannot just, go and buy me a PlayStation when I don't do PlayStation. He does PlayStation, right? So if he does that, he wouldn't have served me. Do you understand the concept of serving? If you are working in a place, if you are working in an organization, and the person you are serving is your boss, if you are in service, it requires that you are sitting down and you are tasking your mind. What does this person need when she comes to work? What is the first thing she does? What will make her burden lighter? What will make her days easier? How do I get her end of months to be faster and easier? That's your obsession. If you are in a relationship, you want to obsess about the person you are in a relationship with. How can I get it better? How do I make sure that what he's complaining about today, he's not complaining about it tomorrow? And it's a lot of work. But that is how you aim and you regain and you retain power in that relationship. So that's where your mind is at. So you know that you are going to take over, right, in this sphere of your workplace. You know that you are going to have dominion in this sphere of of raising children, in this sphere of marriage, in this sphere, of getting your degree. As you are going in for that master's and it is time to write your thesis, my husband used to tell me something, that when he was in school, he didn't bother himself so much with reading. Of course, he has to read. He didn't bother himself so much with reading as much as he bothered himself with coming to classes. Because in class, he would listen to the teacher And when he listened to the teacher, he could tell to a very high degree of accuracy where that guy was going to set questions. And when he answered the questions, he would not answer the questions based on the other things he knew. He would practically serve that teacher by using the words of that teacher, by saying it how the man said it in his textbook or in his pamphlet or whatever. He would try and replicate using that particular person's line of thinking. The teacher would understand what he has to say. And so as I think about it today, even if I decide that, okay, I want to come out here and I want to help that young lady, I keep working on myself. I keep working on my mind, and I'm thinking, how do I say it so that she understands it? How do I say it so that it makes that impact to her? How do I say it so that it's not such a hard task for her brain to grasp around it? And in that we find service. I believe you want to take dominion. You were set here for dominion. And if you don't want to, maybe this is not for you. But if you do, the way is by service, is by catching one area you are good at and serving the hell out of everybody in need of that particular issue that you have figured out that this is what you are good at. And that's how we win. I'll come back on this because there is a way to serve. I may have started mentioning it, but I'll come back with a video and I will talk about how to serve. There is a way to serve to win. What I have said today is that you have to be generous about it and you have to be sacrificial about it. After all, you have something in front of you. It is having dominion. That's where we're going to. Have a blessed time.